Hello, it's April 16th, Monday. I didn't record on the weekend. Well, I did, but I was just too out of it. Trying to recover. But I'm just going to keep moving on. I'm going to move ahead a few years to explain part of the story and quickly go through this as Monday is another day of radiation and chemo. But again, it's just another part of the story. This will all come together if you just pay attention, and if I miss you somewhere, just ask a question. How's that? Because this is real. This actually took place, so, and these things are from the heart. So, March 20th. 1991. I was riding my beautiful bike. It was a 1981 CBX 550 Honda touring bike, V-twin, shaft-driven, liquid-cooled. Absolutely beautiful bike. It was 100 pounds wet, so with all the fluids in it, it was 100 pounds, 1,000 pounds, sorry, 1,000 pounds wet. And so it weighed a lot. For my size, it was kind of hard to control, but I could pick it up off the ground. But I had a lot of fun with it. I had it for about 2 weeks, and I drove it a lot, and rode a lot. I do more off-road than I did on-road, so this was pretty much my first experience on-road, but I had driven off-road for more than 10 years. And somebody told me once, you're bound to get into an accident after about 10 years, sort of statistics, and I said, well, I guess I should be on the road for another few years before I get into an accident, but I was wrong. Anyway, a car cut out in front of me, and it was completely their fault. I didn't do anything wrong. And with the help of a motorcycle instructor who happened to be just there beside me when it took place on another motorcycle, it was quite a coincidence and odd. But he witnessed the whole thing and saw that I had done nothing wrong and testified in court to that fact. But anyway, I went over the car, basically just crushed the car. The car was completely destroyed. The bike was completely destroyed. But the bike, being so heavy, launched me right over the top of the accident. So I didn't get impacted by anything except for the ground. I ended up in the middle of the road after the accident. So the guy behind me, after I had talked to him later on, he said he immediately started to cry because he's so sick and tired of these people not paying attention to other motorcycles on the road. This lady just didn't pay attention and she cut me off. Anyway, he said, you didn't move, and then all of a sudden you stood up. He says you didn't even use your hands, and you just all of a sudden sprang. It's like somebody picked you right up off the ground. And then his tears of sadness turned to tears of joy, and he said he just put his bike on his stand as quickly as he could, jumped over the car, ran over to me, and said, started helping me, right? And I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? And they sat me down on the curb, and somebody, for some reason, gave me a cup of coffee. I remember, I'm like, trying to hang on to it with one hand, and it started to hurt really badly. So I switched it to the other hand, and that just, no way. I dropped the cup and smashed it, and everything went broken on the ground. I just went, I don't feel so good. Then the ambulance arrived, and that's when I realized, because I was trying to get my bike, and they're saying, no, you should stay here. I saw my bike on its side. Oh my God, my bike. It's just puttering, going, but it's still running. And I was like, oh no. And they put me in the ambulance, and that's when I realized I didn't make it. I could have swore I was going to make it, because I really tried to make it around this car, and it didn't turn out that way. I thought I was going to make it, and it didn't. And all I remember is just blacking out and then waking up, and then being in, I was all of a sudden in the ambulance, and then they go, we're losing him. And like a digital screen, when you lose your signal, it's got these little dots or squares all over the place, and everything just went to blackness. And I'm like, but I'm still conscious. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I was born again. I could see my own birth. From me, my point of view, not from outside, from inside. From my own eyes, I saw my birth, my death, my rebirth, and then I saw everything that I ever did. The smells, the taste, the touch, everything. It was fantastic, it was amazing. When they said, I don't know, in my culture it was, you see your life flash before your eyes, you know you're about to die, right? And that's, oh my God, I'm going to die. And that's what's going through my head. I'm like, as I'm seeing all this stuff happen. And then all of a sudden, I'm back in the ambulance. And it's like a shock. And I'm like, and they go, oh, we got him, he's back. I'm like, what the hell? What happened? What was that? And I'm like, I'm not dead. Because I realized I'm in the ambulance, right? This is the same ambulance I was in right after the motorcycle accidents. So my consciousness returned to where I was. But then again, everything started to do the same thing. It all went to this digital back to black again. And I thought, oh, it's not done yet. I thought, this is it. This is it for me. It's over. But it didn't stop there. Next thing I knew, I was in the hospital being hit by the paddles, and then waking up, and then talking to the people and telling them their names, and then being set my casts, and then the next day and the next day and the next day, freaking people out and telling them what's going to happen next, and the next day and the next day, the next month, the next year, the year after, and then all of a sudden, really fast, it's like it's going just like it was when I was seeing my past. It's now showing me my future, and I'm flying by so fast that these are things that have not happened to me yet. These are smells, touch, tastes, and experiences that have not taken place yet. And I didn't know what was going on. I'm freaking out. I'm literally sitting in an armchair almost, in a seated position, rushing through, witnessing everything that's taking place through my own eyes. Then it's like, and I pop into this position where I can now see my own hands going, and I'm stopped. There's no more movement, everything is stopped. And I'm like, the first thing I see is my hands. And I go, where am I? I'm not in an ambulance, and I'm not anywhere near a hospital. What's going on? And all I can see is the back of my hands, because I'm sitting like this. And I look at them and I go, wow. And I start feeling them, and I go, they're old. I mean, really worn and old, really wrinkled and used. I'd never seen my hands like these before. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, what's happening? And then I realized I was sitting in a chair, and it was a rocking chair, a white rocking chair, because I could move like this. And I'm like, okay. And then in front of me was a rail, a post that went up, and then there's a roof or a ceiling deck, and I'm sitting on a porch. It's a porch with rails and rungs, and it's a porch of a house. And I'm like, okay, what the? I'm speechless, literally speechless. It's all in my mind going. I don't know. And then I catch a glimpse, and it's an open, sort of an open field, like an acreage, where my house is. And there's some trees, but there's an open field basically in front, and there's a man and a woman, probably in their 30s, roughly around there, and they're playing with two children, and they're running around, and they're chasing each other, and they're doing all this. They're playing. And I'm like, I know that these are my kids. Those are my children, and those are my grandchildren, or great-grandchildren, or something, but they're related to me. Those people are related to me in some way. I don't know how, but I do. And what I'm sitting in is my house. This is my house. I don't know how I know this, but I know this. And I'm trying to get a grip on, because this is lasting a long time. There's a lot of information being fed to me right at this moment, just from this one picture, this one video tape of information at the very last moment I was there. And that was in 1991, and it'll stick with me forever. I'll never forget it. It was a beautiful day, the sun was shining, blue skies, a few puffy clouds. The wind was just perfect. Very, very warm. And then, out of the corner of my eye to my right, I saw something move. And I went, what now? What's happening? What is it now? And I slowly turned, and I looked, and there was this absolutely stunning, beautiful woman to me. I could feel the love and the caring, and it was amazing. That's all I could say. I knew who she was. This is my wife. This is the mother of my children, and this is the grandmother of my grandchildren. She is even though she's as old and withered as I am, she's sitting there in her rocking chair next to me, rocking away, and she's knitting. She's just knitting away, making something, and I'm staring at her, and she turns to look at me, and she gives me this big smile, like, oh, it must be time, or something, like her eyes told me everything. I love you, I care about you, I will not question you, I will not hurt you, but I'm going to let you know right now that I love you very much, and whatever you're going through, I respect you. And everything's fine. It was such... Words didn't need to be spoken. As I was a frightened man sitting in an unknown situation, and she knew everything that was going on, because obviously I must have told her through the course of the time. Because then all of a sudden I was sitting back in the hospital and they were hitting me with the paddles, and I'm laying on a gurney in the operating room and they're hitting me with the paddles again. I'm like, whoa, what the hell just happened? Where am I? And I'm looking at my hands going, okay, I'm young. I'm still young. What's happening? Where am I? Okay, you were in a motorcycle accident. You're okay. We're going to check you over and make sure everything's alright. Blah, blah, blah. Hospital. I don't mean that. I mean, where was I? Did I go anywhere? How long have I been gone? They're looking at me real strange. It's like, what are you talking about? I said, have I always been here? Yeah. Where else would you go? You've been here. I'm like, did that really happen? Then the moment of understanding started to take place. I started realizing that I recognized everybody in the room. I knew their names. I knew what was going to happen next. I knew what they were going to do to me. I knew when they were going to set my cast. I told the guy his name that was going to set my cast before he did it. And I freaked him right out. I freaked everybody out. For days I freaked everybody out. And I was in a lot of pain because I broke both arms, ribs, snapped fingers, broke wrists. Oh, I was... yeah, I was in a lot of pain. But I'm going to stop it here. But that's what connects me to my birth. What happened to me when I was born was the same thing that happened to me at that time. I wasn't smarter or knew more than anybody else. I just had inside information. I cheated. I knew what was going to happen next, and I cheated. I'll be the first to admit it. Now, how that happened, I can only base it on physics and the new understanding of time. Some people have told me, how come you get to be shown that? How come, I mean, I've had people be jealous of it because they understood and did believe me. Now, is there really a choice? Or are you chosen? I don't know. Well, I have to leave this now because it's another day, and I will come back and we'll work on this story together. Slowly, every day. We'll go back and forth, mishmash, and try and figure it out. But I'm just asking for the energy of the universe to try and help me to beat this thing. I'm definitely not going to die, that's for sure. Thanks.